lot going on. San Francisco is shutting down. Very little traffic, nobody walking. Everything's mine. There's just nobody around. So now we can do a video anywhere we want. And the city's getting so quiet. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what the Orange Man did in the U.S. He is cutting food stamps for the poor. Now, I take care of people that are old, and the average person that I take care of doesn't get more than $26 or $27 a month in food stamps. The highest I've ever seen is $123, and that was years ago. Now it's in the $15 to $20 range per month of food stamp, and you have to use them up by the end of the month. There's all these requirements. And where will all this money go that's cut? Into subsidies and tax breaks for the wealthy. Welfare for the wealthy. The sugar industry. The sugar gets... thought a bike rider was coming. So, there are 10 big sugar companies that get billions of dollars in welfare cuts every year here in the U.S. called subsidies. Billions. Now, there is no real use for sugar. It causes cancer in men, prostate cancer and other cancers. It causes obesity. It's really a bad thing to have or even be exposed to. But yet we're subsidizing it out of our tax dollars to pay to grow sugar to poison ourselves with. It's a poison. And you can argue against it all you want. Sugar is not good for you whatsoever in any form. And let's not forget, of course, the subsidies to the oil companies. So here comes some bailouts from the Orange Man and from other countries to the oil industry because they're not selling as much oil and the stocks went down. So the taxpayers, you and I, a large part of our taxes goes to paying for the oil industry, for subsidies, tax breaks, and other welfare for the wealthy. So this time these subsidies will be $770 billion to $1 trillion for oil companies. And Canada will subsidize an oil pipeline called the Mountain Pipeline to a tune of $320 million this year alone. But that's not all, people. We subsidize the meat and dairy industry. And not only that, but the hotel industry. Trump, every single time he has built or remodeled some kind of property, he gets a subsidy, a tax break. This time, Trump will get $885 million in grants and subsidies this year from our government to build his properties. And then he charges the government to stay there. Yeah. When I said something's wrong, I wasn't kidding. Something is completely wrong. And you know what it is? It's the logic factor. Greed has shoved logic under the bus, along with Bernie Sanders. He's another one with logic. We don't like logic and science anymore. Throw it under the bus. Not only does Trump get the $885 million, but he's going to get $32 million for one hotel. It's a 44-story hotel. And he will get subsidies and tax breaks for that one too. Unbelievable. But that's not all. You know that here in this country, the U.S., we have a gun problem. We have a people shooting other people problem. Every day it's about 25 to 26 people, 32, maybe 40 people a night get shot or 24 hours here in the U.S. The U.S. top 3 gun manufacturers get $105 million in subsidies from the taxpayer every year, so that those machines can be used to have gun battles in our cities and outer cities. Kill each other with them. but we're subsidizing for that. The top gun manufacturers that are receiving this are Remington, Ruger, and Smith and Wesson. So this is absolutely insane. You know why? Because we could use that money to make test kits so we can get tested for various viruses. You know, update our medical equipment, get out of the 1950s and into the 2020s in the medical industry. We could use that money for that. We could help the homeless get off the streets and back into their normal lives because they were talked into taking some kind of substance that was bad for them, like sugar, alcohol, tobacco. Why is it that we subsidize the wealthy, the gun industry, the sugar industry, the meat industry? We subsidize the meat industry and the cattle industry, another product that has no use in our nutritional value. We don't need meat. We don't need to raise meat. We don't need to take up all the land and cut down all the trees that meat takes up. But yet, if you told 99% of the people here in the U.S. that they couldn't eat meat, they'd shoot you before they'd stop eating meat. Something is wrong. Something is really wrong. I think it's called greed. You know, and I was asked the other day, well, if you got rid of money, then what would you use? A lot of people would say you bargained. That's not really realistic though these days, is it? How are you going to bargain to buy a house or a car or spend hundreds of thousands for medical insurance? What are you going to trade for that? What do you have that the medical industry wants that they would give you free health care? Or they'd give you health care for whatever you're bargaining for. But somewhere, greed seems to be winning more than not. And we don't seem to be that too much worried about it. Oh, got a lot more sleep yesterday. Shoulders feeling a little better. Life continues. It's never fair. It doesn't seem to be much filled. It doesn't seem to have much logic left in it. It seems to be every person for himself. Is that really the way things should be? Every person for themselves? That depends on who you ask. You ask a wealthy person, they'll say, oh yeah, every person for himself. You ask a poor person, no, we need to live in communities and help each other. What do you think is the right answer for that? Mark left a nice comment on the channel. Thought I'd respond to his. He says, have you ever heard of alternative medicine? Boy, I have tried alternative medicine ever since I was from 1980s on, and real familiar with all of it. I use everything that's available in the way of healthcare, both Western style and I guess they call it the Asian style of medicine, and everything else. I've looked into it. Of course, we often talk about it. The best medicine you have is exercise and food and the proper sleep. The closer you are to a vegetarian vegan, the more healthy you are and the less money you spend. But when it seems like when you become a vegan and vegetarian, you kind of learn all about the environment and how it works and how we're responsible for the environment on what we eat and what we spend our money on. And here I am just rambling on. So I definitely do appreciate the comments on the last video and the last videos. Life goes on as we go through our next Trump disaster here in the U.S. So this is kind of interesting. Today is the first day of the shutdown here in the U.S. of a lot of religious schools, some public schools, and a lot of the tech is now shut down. I wanted to come and look at the freeway system and see what it looks like. It should be full on, stop and go, you know. But right down. Now let's take a look at the freeways that leads people to tech.